My 11-year-old daughter used to walk limping as she got up in the morning. I often went to her school to take her home early. One day, a teacher called me aside and said, "Tonight, you should sleep beside your daughter in her bed, and then you will understand everything." I followed the teacher's advice. I had barely been in bed with her for 5 minutes when I was suddenly taken aback. That morning, I was calling my daughter. It was 9 a.m., it was 10 a.m., and she still hadn't woken. Lately, I had been very worried about her. She had stopped going to her madrasa. I felt as if someone had done something to her, like she was under some spell or something. She used to always sleep with me, but for a few weeks, she had started sleeping alone. I had noticed for a few months that my daughter seemed to be hiding something from me. Every morning when I knocked on her door, she would take a long time to open it. When she did, her face showed a strange preoccupation, as if she was deeply troubled inside. That day, I knocked on her door again, but instead of waiting, I called out loudly. Suddenly, an angry voice responded, which surprised me. When she opened the door, I saw a strange sadness and worry on her face. But what shocked me most was when my gaze fell on her feet. She was standing in a very odd way, as if she was in great pain. On the other hand, my sister-in-law, Sahana, had come to our house today after many years. She had been married for 30 years, yet her connection with her parental home remained strong. I was worried. If my daughter appeared before my sister-in-law in this state, what would happen? My sister-in-law always took the opportunity to criticize me. I was afraid that my daughter would encounter her. Sahana suddenly said, "Why isn't Amina coming? What's wrong with her? It's been years since I've seen my brother's daughter." As she spoke, she came and stood next to me. My daughter became even more frightened upon seeing her aunt. I asked her to come out. She moved forward slowly, but her walk was awkward. Seeing my daughter limping like that, Sahana put her hand on her head and exclaimed, "What has happened to your daughter? At such a young age she is limping. God forbid, I hope nothing is wrong." Hearing my sister-in-law's words made my heart flutter. She always praised her own daughter and pointed out the faults in others. I quickly said, "Sahana, it's nothing like that. She's just not feeling well today. God forbid she's sick." But my sister-in-law looked at my daughter as if she was pleased to see her condition. I quickly sent my daughter back to her room and shut the door. I told her, "Go inside, get ready, and then come out." A long time passed, but my daughter did not come out of her room. Compelled, I went to her room, but what I saw left me stunned. My eyes were fixed on the pillow on the bed. I couldn't believe my daughter had hidden such a big matter from me. Just then, Aunt Sahana called me, so I fell silent. At that moment, I didn't ask my daughter any questions. She was taking a shower in the bathroom attached to her room. After a while, she came out, but I was shocked to see her dress. It was completely new, and I had never bought it for her. It seemed she had never asked for such a dress before. I felt like someone else had given it to her, but my sister-in-law didn't think much about it. Instead, she complimented it. "MashaAllah. She looks just like a fairy. May no one cast an evil eye." She laughed after saying this. Her laugh seemed odd to me, but I didn't understand why. After a while, I left. When I returned to the room, I scolded my daughter. "I never bought you this dress. Where did it come from?" She replied, "Mom, you know I go to madrasa. I have a friend there. She is very wealthy. Didn't I tell you about my friend Rosa last time? She gave me this dress as a birthday gift." I was a bit annoyed and said, "But you could have told me earlier." "What if I had questioned you about it in front of your aunt? What then?" My daughter got a little angry and said, "Mom, Aunt Sahana is not as bad as you think. She understands everything very well." I didn't want to argue further with my daughter and decided to cool down and focus on my work. Then, one day, a strange incident occurred. That day, my daughter didn't mention going to madrasa. Instead, she said, "I am very tired today. I want to rest at home." I was surprised. She never did any household chores and always complained of feeling pain. Why was she so tired without reason? My suspicion grew. The next morning, when she woke up, she still looked very odd. The following day, the same thing happened. She stayed asleep until 10 a.m., although she used to get up at 5 a.m. when she went to madrasa. Lately, nothing about her seemed normal. She stayed up late at night and slept late into the morning. I hadn't said anything to her about these things, but one morning, as soon as she got up, she started walking with a limp. Just then, Aunt Shida came to our house. She works at an NGO, and we used to work together in the past. I had quit, but she had stayed on. She had come without informing me, probably to ask about some herbal remedies. At that time, she saw my daughter and asked, "Darling, could you get me a glass of water?" I realized she wanted to speak with me privately. So I signaled my daughter to go inside. Aunt Rashida then told me, "How can you be so careless as the mother of a daughter? Don't you see what's happening to your daughter? You should be concerned. She is still young, so you need to keep an eye on every move she makes. Otherwise, who will you blame if something goes wrong? Who will you ask for help?" She paused for a moment, looked at me, and said, "Keep an eye on your daughter. What she does, where she goes. Why is your daughter in such a condition suddenly? Why is she moving like this now? Look at her clothes, her movements, and then look into her eyes. Don't you find something strange in your daughter's gaze?" Aunt Rashida is a very perceptive person. She could understand a lot just by looking into someone's eyes. She could tell if a girl was involved with someone just by observing her behavior. Hearing her words felt like the ground was slipping beneath my feet. I thought to myself, from now on, I will keep an eye on every step my daughter takes. I will follow wherever she goes. I will see what she does, who she associates with. The next morning, when my daughter woke up, she felt very unwell. She said, "Mom, my whole body hurts. Please give me an oil massage." I replied, "Okay, fine," and went to her room with some warm oil. But suddenly she said, "No, don't massage me. The pain has gone. You don't need to trouble yourself. Please leave." I was surprised by her response. It seemed like she deliberately didn't want me to see her body. Was she hiding something? Or was she scared of me for some reason? I noticed that her behavior had changed significantly over the past few days. It seemed like she was trying to hide something. Then I remembered what Aunt Rashida had said, "Keep an eye on your daughter." I told her, "Listen, I will sleep in your room with you tonight. Keep the door to your room open." She did not seem very happy about it. She just said, "Okay, Mom." But a few hours later, when I finished my work and went to her room, I found the door locked from the inside. I was surprised and angry. I knocked and called out but got no response. Has she fallen asleep? Or is she intentionally not opening the door? My anger grew. Naturally, any parent would be suspicious if a young girl locked her room door without any apparent reason. Anyway, I didn't say anything more that day. But the next morning, seeing my daughter in the same condition, I couldn't stay quiet any longer. I said, "Today, I will go with you to the madrasa." My daughter had been delaying going to madrasa for some time. Instead of going in the morning, as before, she had been attending evening classes. I didn't like these changes at all. I thought it would be better to secretly follow her than to sleep in her room at night. God knows if she was actually going to madrasa or lying to me and going somewhere else. That afternoon, I decided I would follow her. Wrapped in a black shawl, I quietly left the house. From a distance, I saw my daughter stepping onto the street and hailing a rickshaw. She then paid the rickshaw puller and headed towards the madrasa. I was astonished. Where did my daughter get so much money? I had never given her that much. Today, she wore a beautiful new dress and paid the rickshaw puller quite a sum. I decided that I had to follow her, but I had no money on me. Fortunately, a familiar rickshaw puller was nearby. He took me to the madrasa for free. Thank God my daughter actually went to the madrasa. She didn't go anywhere else. Arriving in front of the madrasa, my daughter got off the rickshaw and went inside. I followed her. I saw her going to class. I thought to myself, I haven't found anything suspicious. So far, maybe I can learn something from one of the teachers. So I approached Tanya Madam, who was sitting in the front chair. I have known Tanya Madam for many years. I said, Madam, do you still teach Nasar's class? Tanya Madam smiled a little and said, No. When Nazma came in the morning shift, I used to teach her class. But now she comes in the evening, so I hardly get to talk to her. But there's something I want to tell you, I replied. I have come to the madrasa to hear something, fearing my daughter might be involved in something wrong. Madam, you know my daughter very well. I couldn't discuss these concerns with anyone else because it involves my daughter's honor. I trust my daughter hasn't done anything wrong. But still, as her mother, I am very worried. I want to know everything about my daughter. What do you know about her, madam? Hearing this, Madam also seemed troubled. She said, I want to tell you just one thing. Mashallah, your daughter doesn't do anything inappropriate in the madrasa. But I have noticed some strange changes in her lately. Her eyes always seem sleepy, as if she hasn't slept at night. And she always walks slowly, turning around. If asked, she says, My whole body hurts. I am sick. Please give me a day off, madam. But previously, Nazma used to attend madrasa regularly. Our madrasa has very strict rules. We do not allow girls to go outside without reason. If any student fails to attend without informing us, we immediately call their home to report that your child did not come to madrasa today. Your daughter doesn't engage in any activities at the madrasa that would be cause for your concern. However, you need to keep an eye on her at home, on what she does, and how she behaves there. You should sleep in the same room as your daughter at night. I suspect she doesn't sleep at night. Do you sleep with your daughter? I replied, No, madam. My daughter has her own room now. She says, Mom, I'm grown up now. I need my own space to keep my things. I need my own room. So we gave her a separate room. Hearing this, Tanya Madam was surprised and said, Sister, at this age, children shouldn't have separate rooms. At this age, parents should always stay with their children. It's necessary to monitor every activity of the child so that they don't tarnish the family's honor. I was astonished by her words. I had come to learn any hidden details about my daughter. But what I learned from the madam was no less significant. Suddenly I remembered about my daughter's pillow. One day, I suddenly opened her room door and saw a 5,000 taka note on her pillow. At that time, I couldn't understand where my daughter had gotten so much money. I hadn't given her a single penny at home, yet now she was becoming wealthy on her own. However, when I returned home from the madrasa, various questions were swirling in my head. I started wondering where my daughter was getting all this money from. What was she doing? But I didn't ask her any questions that day. The night passed, just like that. The next morning, I saw my daughter in the same condition again. I decided that today, I would spend the entire day with her, and I would sleep in her room at night. And that's exactly what I did. After my daughter returned from madrasa, I finished all my work and went to her room. I went to clean my daughter's room, hoping I might find more evidence. As soon as I entered my daughter's room, she startled and looked at me. She asked, "What's wrong, Mom? Do you need something?" I said, "No, I don't need anything, but it's been a long time since I cleaned your room, so I want to clean it." Nazma stood up and said, "Mom, you're going to clean my room? Please don't, I will clean it myself." "I will clean it right in front of you if you think I will keep my room dirty." That's not the case at all. Nazma got up from the bed, took the broom from me, and started sweeping the room herself. But my attention was on the room. I was looking around the room and saw brand new clothes. I opened Nazma's wardrobe. She quickly ran to me and said, "Mom, what do you need?" I pushed her aside. I said, "Why are you questioning everything, Nazma? This is my daughter's room. Can't I see everything? Where and what?" I opened the wardrobe and saw it was filled with new clothes. I remembered what Tanya Madam had told me. Tanya Madam had said, "Your daughter doesn't have any friends to give her clothes as gifts, let alone talking to someone. These days, she is very quiet, and even the birthday matter was a lie." My daughter had told me a friend gave her the new dress, but that was not the case. Searching her room, I found out that my daughter had been lying to me. She had hidden something under the pillow. I lifted the pillow and found makeup items. My daughter's face turned pale. I asked, "Where did these come from?" My daughter replied, "Mom, please don't be mad. I actually give tuition, and I bought the makeup and new clothes with that money. These clothes are secondhand and the makeup isn't very expensive. Mom, you know I just wanted to indulge a bit in wearing new clothes. I go to madrasa, return, home in the evening. I don't engage in any wrong activities and I don't even go out to play with other girls. Mom, you should trust me, but you always look at me with suspicion, as if I have committed a great crime, as if I have stolen something. But Mom, I haven't stolen anything from you." I said, "Okay, fine. Tonight I want to sleep in your room. It's very comfortable to sleep in your room." Hearing this, she became more anxious and said, "I'm used to sleeping alone. I usually go to sleep very late, Mom. What will you do sleeping in my room?" I replied, "I don't know about all that. I just want to sleep in your room. No matter what, tonight I will sleep in your room with you." My daughter said, "Okay, fine, Mom. You lie down. I'm going to get you a glass of milk." She went to the kitchen and returned after a while with a glass of milk in hand. I asked, "What's this?" She said, "Mom, drink this. You are very tired." I drank it on her insistence, but soon after, a deep sleep overcame me. When I woke up, I couldn't understand how 6 to 7 hours had passed. I was furious. I had planned to stay in Nazma's room at night to keep an eye on her. How could I have slept through the entire night? Surely she must have mixed some sleeping pills in the milk. When I opened my eyes, she was sitting right in front of me, dressed in a gorgeous white outfit. Seeing her like this early in the morning, I was astonished. I said, "Nazma, why are you dressed up so early in the morning? Where are you going?" She said, "Mom, one has to get ready early in the morning. Besides, it's Friday today. I thought I'd wear clean and tidy clothes. Allah will be pleased. Allah doesn't take kindly to disobedient followers like us. We have few opportunities to please Allah." I asked, "Why? What does Friday have to do with you? You go to madrasa. You study. You are learning the Quran. Still, why do you say such things? What sin have you committed?" My daughter fell silent. A profound sadness appeared in her eyes. Then she said something that left me stunned. She said, "Mom, find a good boy for me. Marry me off. I will arrange the dowry money myself. I will manage all my expenses by tutoring children. Don't consider me a burden like your other daughters. Our family's financial situation is already bad. I don't want to be the cause of any more problems for our family." Hearing these words, I was shocked. Hearing such words from my daughter made my suspicions about her even deeper. At such a young age, she was talking about marriage without a hint of shyness or embarrassment, very confidently talking about her own marriage. I was very worried all day. The next day, my sister-in-law, Shahana Appa, suddenly arrived at our house with a lot of wedding clothes. I was surprised and asked, "What is all this, Appa? How come you suddenly showed up at home?" Shahana Appa said, "I've brought a marriage proposal for your daughter from my son, Farhan." I was shocked and said, "Appa, have you lost your mind? Farhan is your son. Do you not know how bad his character is? And you want me to marry my daughter? To your son of ill repute." My sister-in-law married into a family that was involved in the business of dancing and singing. They always earned money through music and dance. Shahana Appa had said that her husband would quit these activities after their marriage. However, a few months later, we learned that her husband had resumed these activities, and now Shahana Appa was also working with them. Since then, my trust in my sister-in-law had been shattered. Yet she still maintained a relationship with us in various ways, and today, she has brought a marriage proposal for her son, Foreign. I angrily said, "Appa, how dare you come to this house and bring a proposal for your son for my daughter?" Shahana Appa laughed and said, "Because your daughter works with us too. I take her out every night, and she dances and sings with us for hours. Did you think I would let you go so easily? Remember, sister-in-law, after my marriage, how much did you insult me for my dancing, for the profession of my in-laws? You had harsh words. You were so proud back then, weren't you? Now, do you understand how painful it is when your own family gets involved in something that is not religiously appropriate?" She continued, "I felt the same pain when you opposed my marriage to Aman. So now just quietly accept that my son, Foreign, will marry your daughter, or it will be very bad. You won't be able to hold your head high in society. Foreign is the only one willing to marry your daughter. I had no choice left. When your own daughter betrays you, what can a mother do?" If you liked our story today, please subscribe to our channel, like the video, and don't forget to share.